Hi, this is Kelly Tolman and welcome to Literature Discussions. In this recording, I'm going to talk about some of the ideas that are explored in Chapter 5 of Lord of the Flies. Chapter 5 is the first of the Beast chapters, that is to say, chapters that have the word beast in the title. This one is Beast from Water. I will talk more about the beast from the water later on, but for now I think it is important to notice what the author thinks is the focus of this chapter. One thing to pay attention to, starting in Chapter 5, is the timeline. We can't be sure how long the boys have been on the island up to this point, but it is long enough for their hair to have grown, but not long enough for them to have gotten used to having long hair. You can infer whatever amount of time you would like here, but it is definitely not long enough for the boys to have aged significantly. In other words, nobody has had a birthday that's been noticed. Starting in Chapter 5, the timeline becomes important because several events are going to happen, and some of them happen to different characters in different places on the island at the same time. Also, things are going to start moving more quickly. Spoiler alert, the rest of the book takes only about a week. The bulk of Chapter 5 is taken up in the big meeting that Ralph calls in order to find a solution to all of their problems. Ralph brings up some basic issues with running the camps, such as where they go to the bathroom and who should be filling the water. But the bulk of the conversation centers on the debate about the beast. This is an important conversation that shows different views of several characters and introduces a new character, Percival Wemyss Madison. The fundamental views of the major players, Piggy, Ralph, and Jack, haven't changed. Piggy doesn't believe that a beast exists because, scientifically, it can't. Ralph doesn't believe a beast exists because he just doesn't believe it. Jack thinks that there might be a beast, but there's no reason to be afraid of it. I want to take a closer look at the language each character uses, and also look at the views that two new characters add to the debate, Percival Wemyss Madison and Simon. Piggy states, "Of course there isn't a beast in the forest. How could there be? What would a beast eat?" He is taking the rational, scientific perspective. Where would the beast fit into the limited ecosystem on the island? He goes on to explain that he thinks it's all in their minds. Ralph agrees. Several times he warns the boys not to talk about ghosts. But then Percival Wemyss Madison offers an explanation. Jack explains for Percival. He says the beast comes out of the sea. This new revelation seems to explain a lot because now the beast isn't restricted to the tiny ecosystem on the island. It explains away Piggy's science and explains why Jack hasn't seen any sign of it. Notice that Jack is the major supporter of Percival's theory, and of all the big kids, he is the most gentle with Percival in this scene. Then Simon offers an opinion. He states, "Maybe it's only us." Simon is unable to explain himself better, but this statement, together with the insights into his thoughts, suggests that Simon believes that the beast comes from within us, that we somehow create the beast. Whether he is referring to the same idea that Piggy had of simple psychological fear or of something else is unclear. So, where do you fall in this debate? Whom do you agree with? Is the beast a real, physical entity, or is it something inside of the boys? Another thing to think about is why the boys take the positions that they do. Why do you think Piggy has his viewpoint? What about Ralph? Why is Ralph so insistent that the beast is not real? What about Jack? Does Jack really think that the beast is real? Or is he just going along with Percival? The meeting breaks up when Jack defies Ralph. He now openly flouts the rules, especially the rule about the conch. He views the meeting as a waste of time, and we get the impression that he thinks that all of the issues that Ralph has brought up really are unimportant. What does this tell us about his character? More importantly, if we look at each of these characters, Ralph, Piggy, Jack, and Simon, as parts of society, what does Jack's reaction tell us about what part of society he represents? If this book is an experiment to understand human nature and human interactions, what have we learned? This debate is a good time to reflect on the different ways that people handle the unknown and the different ways that different parts of society handle a crisis. Think of a time when your community has encountered a problem, big problem or a small problem. Did everyone react the same? Or were there popular and unpopular opinions? How were the people with the unpopular opinions treated? Why? Was there a shift in the balance of power? Why? Throughout the chapter, Jack becomes more and more disgruntled and frustrated, eventually openly defying the rules. He says, "Bollocks to the rules!" He quickly whips the other boys into a frenzy and is able to disrupt the meeting before the close of the chapter. So, what is going on here with Jack? What are his motives? Is this simple immaturity? Is he playing games and having fun for the sake of playing games and having fun? Acting like a child because he is a child? Or is he actively trying to undercut Ralph's authority because he has a bigger plan? Is he making a power grab? Does he want control of the tribe? Or is it some combination of motives? In a bigger context, think about the people in society who have power and control. How did they get it? How do they keep it? How is power transferred from one person to another? The chapter closes with Ralph begging for some kind of sign from the adult world. You could almost call it a prayer. Everything in his new world is falling apart, and he just needs some reassurance. What possible reassurances do you think he could realistically get? Anyway, I hope that you've had some new ideas. Feel free to add to this discussion in the comments section. Thank you so much for tuning in to Literature Discussions with Kelly Tolman, and be sure to check out all of my video and audio content at literaturediscussions.com. Thanks and good reading.